McCauley. I'm at Pray It Off in Syracuse, New York. Last week I mentioned briefly about how it was okay to say, I don't know. So often we think we have to have the answers to everything. And there's so much wisdom and so much power in that. And I absolutely love this next article about the wisdom of saying, I don't know. Remember at the beginning of the night before I was on camera, I mentioned that I am not good at going with the flow. I am not laid back, but I work on it. I do. Am I better? I'm 1,000,000% better. I don't know why our flight got canceled. I guess it's the weather, even though it's not till tomorrow. It's not up to me to know it all. Sometimes you just got to go with the flow. And when someone asks you something and you don't absolutely know the answer, it's okay to say, I don't know, but let's learn it together. Or I don't know, but who else could help us figure this out? Or I don't know, but that's a great question. You know, in this world of Google, you know, we think if we don't know something and we Google it, and we take the first thing that pops up as the truth in the gospel, don't we? It's in Google. It must be true. It popped up. It's got to be true. Now, if you want to know who co-starred in a movie, odds are it might be true. Excuse me. But if you want to know what the meaning of life is, I wouldn't quite trust the first answer that popped up in Google. Also, Jesus' favorite response to any request or challenge was to ask a question in return. Anyone who's ever gone to counseling, anyone who's ever had therapy, that is classic counseling 101. You know, you'll say to the therapist, you know, I'm unhappy. And then the therapist says, why do you feel that way? What is on your mind? Open-ended questions. They don't say, well, snap out of it, you idiot. Well, they don't say, let me tell you about my life and then maybe you won't be so depressed. No, they say, what's going on? Curiosity and imagination and wonder are holy gifts. And I am so grateful because whenever I do the glorious mysteries of the rosary, and the first one is faith, and I always say, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. I always say that when I do the rosary. And then when the second fruit of the mystery is with the Ascension, it's hope. And I always say this, thank you for the gift of hope, because I got a lot of hope, and that's good. It's good to have a lot of hope. And a lot of that hope comes with curiosity, imagination, wonder. I love life. Every day I can learn something new. Every day. It's like one of the final Jeopardy answers was who won an Academy Award for 2 supporting roles. And I knew the guy, but I didn't know his name. It's Mahershala Ali. So I went and memorized it. So now you'd say, oh, who won that? You might say, who cares about that? I learned something new, though. Also, the definition of wisdom is humility in the face of all we do not know. Because I've been watching Howard's End on PBS. And I turned to Bob and I said, I feel like an idiot. Because all they talk about is all the composers they know and all the classics they've read. And these people are geniuses, and I could hear a piece of classical music and say, it's nice. I mean, who here knows everybody who wrote classical music? And anybody at classical music? Well, ask someone on Howard's End. They know it all. You know what I'm talking about? Some PBS show. Anybody else watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful show, but don't you think they're so smart? It's amazing. I'm curious about that. Unknowing can become the beginning of prayer. The strength found in surrender to God's wisdom. The vulnerability that leads to a deeper relationship with God and each other. Saying, I don't know, can become a spiritual practice to embrace in 2020. How can this inspire you? You know, I don't know what heaven's like. There's a part of me that says, hope it's not boring. There is. Because I can't imagine just like, everything being perfect all the time. Sometimes you need a little, variety. I don't know. I mean, I want to read books, and sometimes there's juicy parts in books that are kind of good. Is there not going to be juicy parts in books in heaven? I don't know. I don't know. See how many times I just said, I don't know? But guess what? Jesus says it's beyond our imagination. We can't even fathom what it's like, and we have to trust that it's going to be wonderful. The next article, I love this one, be still and know. When you are saying, I don't know, and then it says here, be still and know, and if you are someone who can't go with the flow and who is not very laid back, being still is not one of your better qualities. Naturally, we're restless people. We want more stuff, more wealth, more power, more acclaim. People don't sew. People don't have a little sewing basket with buttons and little thread and yarn anymore. Because if a sock gets a hole, you throw it away. Now, some people out there going, I sew the holes in my sock. You're a rare breed. You're a rare breed. When we grew up, my mother had one of those, hello, and she put it in the sock. And those socks lasted us forever. But now it's like you get a hole, boom, garbage. And we are living in, that's what's wrong with the climate change in the world. Too many clothes, too much stuff. The more we seek, the more we realize how unsatisfied we are. Even all the food, even all the donuts, even all the pizza, it doesn't satisfy us. Look at the suicide rate in America. It's higher now than ever. And I blame it on the lack of faith and the disintegration of the family. And I also look at famous people. The suicide rate with famous people. Now, I'm not talking vets. I'm not talking veterans who go through post-traumatic stress. I'm not talking that kind of suicide. I'm not talking about even mental health suicide. I'm talking about people who are like, I got nothing to live for. That is what's so sad. One of the greatest arguments for the existence of God is that restlessness we have, that hunger, that want to be addicted to something. We're like, is it alcohol? Is that going to fulfill me? Is it food? Is it opioids? Is it this? Is it that? Is it having all these clothes? Is it having all these purses? We're trying to fill that hole, and the only thing that will fill it is faith. Our souls are restless until they rest in God. We give up our restless anxiety and trust in God. Oh, I want that so bad. I want to walk into a plane and sit there and just say, your will be done, I'm great, instead of having the white knuckles, instead of going, every time we go through some turbulence. I want to trust in God. Be still and know that God has created you and speaks to you in the depths of your heart. You know what's another proof of God? Our faith has come down over 2,000 years. No matter what has happened in our faith, the disasters of the church, the Protestant Reformation, the scandal, anything, that faith has stayed because Jesus is real. Because Jesus is the same today as he was yesterday, as he will be tomorrow. And that is why the faith has lasted for 2,000 years. If we are still and we trust in the power of love and truth, I couldn't wait to come to Pray It Off tonight because I said to Bob, I'll be fine once I see my peeps because I know they're praying for me. I don't guess. I don't say, do you think maybe they might kick up a couple for us, I know you are. And you can be assured that I am constantly praying for you and your intentions too. That is a comfort. Trust the goodness you see. Be still and know that God is the source of all that is good, beautiful, and true. and that all love exists because God wills it. That is another example of how we know that God is real. The power of love. And love does transcend all time and all space. Do you think that we don't love those people who have gone before us any less because they're not with us right now? In a way, we might love them even more because that absence has hurt, and it's only that love that makes us go on. In leaving our anxiety and trusting God, we enter into the source of all truth and allow ourselves to be led in a way that we could have never found by ourselves. I wake up in the morning and I say, lead me, guide me, show me the way, because I'm not good on my own. Following Christ is not about knowing where we're going, but knowing who we are going with and trusting that He knows the way. When Christ is our leader, we have no reason to worry. Stopping right there, Bobby.